I remember a guy saying to me a while ago, "Hey, you know, you go to the arena all the time. You go to the stadium all the time. When's the last time you paid to go to the stadium?" And I said, "Hey man, when's the last time you paid to go to work?" In Milwaukee last night, going to Draymond. "Hey Draymond, you can't shoot. Oh Draymond, you lucky. Steph is on your team." And then somebody, "I will drink your blood and take your family." Yo, man. We were just talking about basketball.
We can go into story time with Vinny. You want to go into story time with Vinny?
Let's do it. I love story time with Vinny.
This was Vinny in Memphis. In 2010, my first year on the Pistons beat. I'm still 25 years old, wet behind the ears, barely had a mustache, about 20 pounds lighter. So we're sitting courtside, damn straight. So there's a fan, Michael, and he had on overalls and nothing else. Okay. Just some dingy denim, nasty ass overalls, okay? It's the second quarter of the game. He's heckling the Pistons. You suck, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, this guy's a little extra. He goes from calling the Pistons players, you know, you suck and everything else, Michael Holley, and then he said the magic word. He called one of the players boy. Okay. And something triggered inside of 25-year-old me. I turned around to the guy and I said, not another word. So yeah, we know that fans jump way out of pocket. This is before Twitter. This is just a dude who's drunk in some damn overalls.
Is it Hurts or the team?
I think it's a little bit of both, man. I think
it's system and team.
I think it's a little bit of both, man, because they got a great offensive line, which helps Hurts. Hurts has A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. They got a good running game.
I mean, Miles Sanders.
They scheme that they have.
O-line. Yeah. I mean, bro,
hey, this Eagles Cowboys coming up, ain't it?
Yeah, it's coming up. I'm not trying to make no enemies. I just love the game so much and I understand it so much that I can't when things are off, I just can't hold it in. I almost gotta say something.
Yeah, you're right. They got a great team, great defense.
But everyone has their own opinions.
But Jalen Hurts is
he's good.
Micah Parsons had some comments about your success and whether it was more attributed to yourself or team and scheme. Curious to get your thoughts on that.
We're worried about the Bears right now.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Ashley Nicole Moss, what's going on? Good to see you.
Hi.
You know what? I gave you the invite. You didn't take the invitation. I told you I'm going deep inside the mothership on Thursday doing Brother from Another on location from our headquarters, NBC Sports. So that's where I am right now. I said, Ashley, you love New York, you love the area, and you can tell the people before we get started on your boy Micah Parsons, tell the people what you told me, that you have never been where? You've never been.
I'm a true New Yorker. I've never been to Connecticut. And I think maybe if I had to think in all 29 years of my life, I think I've been to New Jersey maybe once. And that's because my dad at the time was working for a company who I think had a warehouse or some sort of headquarters based out there. And I went to work with him one day. I have never been to New Jersey except for maybe, and it's maybe, I don't even know for certain if I went with him when he went to New Jersey. I've never been outside of the tri-state. When it comes to the tri-state, I've never left the state of New York. No Connecticut.
One time, that time in Jersey, got a story. That one time in New Jersey, maybe. The details are fuzzy. Can't remember if I've ever been to Jersey. And I hesitate to ask you about Brooklyn. If you've ever been to Brooklyn, well, maybe.
Well, I'm from Brooklyn. I was born there.
I should say, if you ever been to a Brooklyn Nets game, have you ever been to a Brooklyn Nets game?
I've been to the Barclays.
When they were playing the Knicks.
No, I've actually been there when the Knicks were out of town and they were playing Luka was in town. I want to say the Mavs were in town. I think I've been to the Barclays twice since its existence, though.
Okay.
Only twice. It's been there, 10 years? And I've been there twice.
Okay.
So just do the math.
At some point, before you turn 30, we have to get you to Connecticut first, then Jersey.
It's going to be a hard no for me, Michael. It's going to be a hard no for me. I'm going to have to take a pass. I'm going to have to take a cold pass on that. I don't see the reason. What is the reason? Why am I going?
I'm here. NBC Sports is here. Your family's here. We love you. We want to spend time with you.
Come meet me at 30 Rock.
Okay, at 30 Rock.
We can do that.
We'll do that. Now listen, I wonder how you interpret, if you take the Cowboys out of it, how do you interpret somebody who's just going along, minding their own business, having a great season, getting a lot of praise? After last year, people had questions about Jalen Hurts, right? They had questions about him. Is he the guy? So this year, he has answered every question, has played at a high level, runs the football, passes the football, is a leader. He does everything right, minding his own business. Then here comes your guy, Micah Parsons, out of nowhere. Whoa, this is how it happens. You're just sitting there, and there's always somebody on the sidelines, either on the sidelines or 2 games behind. Let's get to that. 2 games behind you, talking trash about you. Okay, so please tell me if you have any ideas. What was Micah Parsons thinking? What was he trying to establish with this commentary about Jalen Hurts?
It's a little bit of a few things. I think normally athletes just by nature are competitive, and I think some guys are more outspoken with that than others. Some guys don't mind being vocal with their competitiveness, and some guys just allow their game to do the talking. So we see it in basketball all the time. We see it in soccer. We see it in baseball. It's not like it's an uncommon thing. You add the fact that it's already a rivalry between these 2 guys, maybe not specifically these 2 guys, but the teams that they play for do not like each other. The fan base don't like each other, and they're both competing for the #1 spot in their division. So you throw that into the mix. And I think also, it's not an uncommon take that Micah said. It's just because Micah Parsons said it, it's a whole thing.
You don't think it's uncommon?
No, I think like you said, seeing how Jalen Hurts. Now, I always thought Jalen Hurts had it in him to be the quarterback that we're seeing right now. It just takes some guys a little bit longer to get there. And also, Jalen Hurts wasn't always in the best situation to go ahead and showcase his skill set. I say the same thing about Tua in Miami. A lot of people wrote Tua off very early in his career, but failed to realize that his environment was not great for his development as a quarterback. And not everybody's Tom Brady. And even with Brady, yes, he's, 50
even Tom
years
Brady,
old.
Even Tom Brady's not Tom Brady anymore.
Right. But even Brady, needs a good, yes, he can do a lot of incredible things on the football field, and that's why he's the GOAT. But you also have to look at the system that he's in. It has benefited him greatly. It just goes ahead and it magnifies and exemplifies his skill set. So Jalen Hurts has struggled a bit early in his career because he did not have that. Now he's on a really great team. It's well, constructed. It's well moving. And I think that it makes him maybe in some areas a lot better than he would be if that was not in the picture. Now, does that mean that he's not a great quarterback? Does that mean that his skill set is solely a product of his environment? Absolutely not. It was a little bit of in there, but I think it's 75 Jalen, and the rest is the product of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay, here's my problem with this. And I don't have a problem with Micah Parsons saying what he feels. Great. It's good for us. We love the content, Ashley. Keep it coming. Go ahead and say more stuff before the game. Overlook the Jacksonville Jaguars if you must. I don't care. It's good for us. But this sounds, my problem with it, can I call it LaShawn McCoy-ish? It's LaShawn McCoy.
Sure.
Remember LaShawn McCoy talking about, hey, Bill Belichick, if he doesn't have Tom Brady, I'm like, yeah, okay. I think Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback and the greatest player in NFL history. So if you don't have the greatest, does that change your outcomes? Yes, it does. And so that's not really a hot take.
Of course.
I wonder why do people, certain people, not everybody does it, but why do certain people do this? Well, hey, if you took that away, then you wouldn't be nothing. Or, hey, listen, you're only good because you've got A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Yeah, it helps.
Right.
It helps. Now, what were you saying? Why doesn't the opposite ever happen? So this happens where you're on top, you're really good, people giving you praise, and then you have somebody come in saying, well, you're only good because of this, this, and that. I'd like to see the opposite. Especially, I'm broken down, I'm bad, I'm down on my luck, things aren't going well for me. I want somebody to say, you know what, Michael Holley? You're down on your luck, but you're only like one positive thing away from being great. It's not you. You're not bad. Your situation is bad. No, they never do that. They never do that.
You know what I think?
It's the opposite.
What I think it is? It's this era of I call it the Michael Jordan effect, right? Everybody wants to go ahead and Michael Jordan is the GOAT, right? And I think that a lot of people have this idea in their mind that you can't be great unless you can win by yourself. Right. And people fail to realize that team sports are team sports. Yes, Michael Jordan was, or is rather, the GOAT. But you also have to look at a lot of the fine print in that situation. He didn't win by himself. A lot of it was because of him. Let's not, let's call a spade a spade. A lot of it was because of Jordan and his greatness, but he didn't go out there and play 1-on-5. It was 5-on-5 for a reason. It's a team sport. So I think people want to go ahead and negate the greatness of a quarterback or a basketball player or whoever in a team sport if they can't go ahead and win on their own accord. And that's an unfair thing because, like I said, one guy can't do everyone's job. What did Giselle say when she was married to Tom Brady? My husband can't throw the ball and catch the ball at the same time. That's not how that works. So it's a little bit of that. So it's definitely an unfair narrative. And I think certain positions, quarterbacks and basketball, I think superstars, Kevin Durant and Giannis and LeBron get it more than, say, some other guys.
That's right.
It's the way that sports rhetoric has kind of formed, and it's not fair because they're team sports.
Ashley, you know what? I can't wait until Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve.
Great.
So we got a game on Christmas Eve, but an early Christmas present for me will be not just the game, but if most likely when I shouldn't even say if, when the Eagles win that game.
Wow, we're doing that? We're doing that. Okay, go ahead.
Hey, listen, you didn't come here. I'd be more respectful if you were here. But now, like, you just decided, oh, no, I'm not.
Don't take Micah's animosity out on me. I didn't say it. I like Jalen Hurts. I didn't say it.
No, it'd be great, though, if on Christmas Eve, the Eagles win this game, just the comments, because you know what they're doing. They're playing the game. They're playing. It's a nice strategic game they're playing. Hey, listen, we're focused on the Bears, and we got a game, and I don't know if the Cowboys have to play the Jaguars, but we got to play the Chicago Bears. We can't get caught up in this, as if it's not bothering them. But they're just collecting. They're collecting.
Listen.
They're collecting information, and if they win that game, Ashley, some of the comments and some of the antics. There will be antics, especially if they win it convincingly. Fourth quarter, I want a specific camera. I just want it on the Philadelphia bench for the last 6 minutes of the game, just to see the kind of stuff they do to try to troll Micah Parsons.
Listen, all I know is all the talk that Micah's talking. That's great. That's dandy. Listen, say it with your chest or don't say it at all, but you better win. And you better have one hell of a game, right, Micah, because if the game is not won by the Cowboys and it's solely on the defense, all eyes are looking at you. There's a saying, it's one of my favorite sayings, don't let your mouth write a check your ass can't cash. So go ahead, talk all the trash you want, but you better win that game and you better have one hell of a game yourself. That's all I'm saying.
So I was talking to an Eagles fan last week, and he was getting all excited about the division. They're going to win the division, likely, right? They're going to likely win the division. They've already clinched the playoff berth. The Cowboys.
I will not confirm nor deny that, Michael.
Okay, all right. But he was talking about Dallas. He said, no. I said, don't you fear Dallas, though, in the playoffs? He said, I want to play Dallas in the playoffs. I said, you do? He said, no, I don't fear them. I respect them. He said, I fear San Francisco. But San Francisco beat them last year. So beat Dallas last year. So I can understand why a Philly fan watching that Dallas-San Francisco game would say, okay, ooh, I saw the hurting they put on Dallas, so we have to watch out for that. But how do you feel about Philly? I mean, Micah Parsons aside, when you look as a Cowboys fan,
yeah,
and you are a ride or die Cowboys fan, you look around the NFC landscape and start in your own neighborhood, theoretically, with the Philadelphia Eagles. How do you feel about them when it comes to matching up with the Cowboys?
I mean, Philly's the real deal. And I think that, earlier in the season when I was on the show, I kind of doubted them and I wasn't like, whatever, Philly. But after the first time we played them, there are just some teams, and it may not be the same every single season, and sometimes it is. Sometimes there's just a team that every single season, you look at Green Bay and you look at the Chicago Bears. Green Bay has Chicago's number every single time they play, right? In the NFC East, it seems like that kind of fluctuates. It depends on the season, depends on who's healthy, who's not. It's not always the same team that gives the same team problems, if you know what I mean. But this season, I think that it's the Philadelphia Eagles are the Dallas Cowboys kryptonite, and how they go ahead and play them is going to be monumentous because we saw last game, it was not a good one. They had their number. Dallas could not figure out how to go ahead and stop these guys, could not figure out how to go ahead and win that game. So you hope that, you figured out the formula, but there is a strong possibility that this just may be the year that Philly has Dallas's number, and that's just a team that gives them problems. Now, am I saying that that's the case? I will not say that. I'm just saying it's a possibility, and that's always a possibility, especially when you're talking about division rivalries in December. Anything is possible. Anything can happen, and I'm not going to go ahead and say, seeing the type of football that the Philadelphia Eagles have been playing, that it's going to be a cakewalk. That would be an ignorant thing to say. I'm not going to say that.
But I got to tell you, Ashley, I love that response. I love it because I didn't think you were going to say that. And maybe you're being a little too hard on Dallas. But I can't believe it.
No,
you're being too. You are.
I love my
team. I know you do. I know you do. Even though you love your team, I just want to remind you. Somebody told you early in the year, after Dak Prescott got hurt, I can't remember who it was, somebody looked like me, told you earlier in the year, don't worry about it. They are good enough to make the playoffs even with Dak Prescott being out for a month. The Cowboys will be fine. And
I don't know if that would have been true.
You and Michael Smith.
For a month? Yeah. Okay.
You and Michael Smith. It was like, nope, it's over. Michael Smith just wrote off the season.
I didn't say it was over.
You didn't say it was over, but you were.
I was concerned.
You're deeply concerned.
I was concerned.
But I do like. The reason I think you're being too hard on the Cowboys is the game they played. Cooper Rush was at quarterback, and they lost by what, 6? Was it 23-17 that game? So that was a competitive game.
It was competitive, but I'm somebody who lives in the present and in the recent present, and I watched my Dallas Cowboys almost lose to the worst team in the NFL last Sunday. So when you play that kind of lazy football, catch-up football, when you're playing against a team like the Houston Texans, maybe you can get away with that. And they barely got away with that. Let's make that very clear. They barely walked away with that win. That works against a team like Houston. That doesn't work against a team like the Philadelphia Eagles. And Cooper Rush, in that situation, they were competitive. They kept their foot on the gas. They just could not figure out how to go ahead and stop certain things from happening. But the team that I saw last Sunday was very content with, we're gonna wipe the floor with these guys, and it came down to the wire. That's why I'm concerned. You cannot take your foot off of gas against a team who already clinched their playoff spot. You just can't do that. So it depends on what version of my Dallas Cowboys I get. If I get earlier version Dallas Cowboys, I'm cool as a cucumber. If I get last Sunday's Dallas Cowboys, I'm nervous. It depends on who I get.
I'll tell you what, I am here for the, and I should let the regular season play out, but I'm here for the NFC playoffs. This is the last thing I'll say, then we'll switch gears and we'll talk some hoops later. We got Natalie in studio. Natalie's here. Okay, Natalie is also a New Yorker, and she decided to come to Connecticut. Okay,
I'm glad. So I'm going to ask her how she likes it.
She's here. She loves it. She loves it. We're going to ask her in a second. But anyway, we'll talk some ball in a little bit. But I am here for the NFC playoffs because I I look at Dallas and Philly as legit great teams. I think both of them are great. Just different styles, but two great teams in the NFC East. I think San Francisco is emerging as a great team. We'll see what they do tonight, but I think they're emerging as a great team. We know they're a great defense, just quarterback down to their third quarterback. And, hey, somebody give some love to the Minnesota Vikings. I know the Cowboys stomped on them. I know. You made them look bad.
You like that?
I mean, Kirk Cousins wasn't saying that after that game, was he? You like that? No. But they are good. They're a good team. They play close games. This all so different styles. I could see any of those teams, any of that group emerging from the conference. So we got a lot.
Not the Tampa Bay Bucks, do you? You don't have Tampa Bay.
Ashley, Tampa Bay is, I'm going to keep saying this until I believe it, until I really get it in my core. I think I kind of believe it now. It's more take than belief, but I'm trying to get the take to the belief stage. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are not going to win their division. They're going to miss They're going to miss the playoffs.
There's what, 2.5 weeks left in the season?
Okay, here it is. It's simple. Here it is. So this week, Tampa has, not to do an early version of My Bet Your Money, but why not? Tampa has Cincinnati this week. Who you got in that game?
Okay.
Tampa versus Cincinnati. Who you got?
I'm going with the Bengals. They're rolling right now.
So now that's 6-8. So now that's Tampa at 6-8. The Panthers host the Steelers with Mitch Trubisky likely, or something called a Mason Rudolph at quarterback for the Steelers.
Okay.
So who you got there?
Oh, I don't know. The Steelers are weird. Like, the Steelers are a team that like you think, it's done for them if they're not going to win, then they're able to win. And the Panthers are kind of like dismantled at this point. It's like ruins. It's like when you go to like the Mayan ruins in Mexico or something.
But they're getting it done though.
This was cool.
They're getting it done in the ruins. They're like, hey, there's still a structure here. It's not going to. That's what the Panthers say. The Panthers say, why do they call this the ruins of Rome? I still see a structure. There's structure here. I see something. Listen. I got the Panthers winning. I got the Bucks losing. They'll both be a robust 6-8. Down the stretch, 3 games to play, tied. Tampa has already lost to the Panthers. I'm telling you, Tom Brady missing the playoffs. Gonna miss the playoffs this year. Here's a hot take.
What happens?
All right.
Does he hang it up?
All right. No. He's gonna keep playing.
Oh.
He's not gonna retire.
He might as well, right? At this point.
Tom Brady will retire the next time you go to Jersey. That's when he'll say, all right, Ashley went to Jersey. I'm all done. Okay.
So never.
What else? All right, play the music. Play the music, Gary. Love it. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk to our homegirl, Natalie, who is here. We're going to talk about the Warriors on the court, the Warriors off the court, the Warriors past, the Warriors future. And we're going to talk about the Knicks, too. You see, Ashley, I have a Knicks item in my feed.
We got 5 in a row. Count them.
Knicks.
Take that, Brooklyn.
All right, look at this. A sight nobody wants to see, not just Warriors fans. NBA fans, we want to see Steph Curry out there. We want to see Steph doing his thing. But he was having a terrific game against the Indiana Pacers last night, and then he hurt his left shoulder, left the game. The Warriors lose to the Pacers by 6, and we should have known that. We should have known that the Warriors were going to lose this game. Why? Because the game was not in San Francisco. And Natalie's here. This is our first time we met. We met in person for the first time earlier today. Natalie, a tremendous MVP addition to Brother from Another. So, Natalie, the game was not in San Francisco. And Natalie and Ashley, when the Warriors get outside of San Francisco, I bet you they can't even play in Oakland anymore. They used to play in Oakland all the time. I bet you they go away from the arena and they lose their minds. They've won 2 games on the road. So
that's true.
What's the problem? What's going on now with just the injury? I guess it's the first thing.
Still waiting on the injury update. He's getting an MRI, so we're still waiting on that. I keep checking.
Refresh.
There hasn't been a report. Yes, I've been refreshing. I mean, the hope is like that it's something. When I say the hope, I mean among fans, right? And obviously the team, that it's nothing too serious, and so that it is like a stinger, maybe, or just like a strain, which would probably be like a couple of weeks, but something more severe like a dislocation or something else could be more time. And so that's not good for the Warriors because it's not just based on this team. Like every iteration of the Warriors, even the versions that had Kevin Durant on it, when Steph isn't on the court, they're just not a very good team. And it's largely because of the way that they play. The offense is so centered around his skill set. And so when he's not there, it makes it very difficult. Like Draymond can't pass as well. Those lanes aren't open because now they can guard Dre, and make it tough for him. And it's just Klay doesn't have as much space to shoot in. Even like a Kevin Durant, like obviously when he was there, he would keep them afloat, but it wasn't the same because now he doesn't have as much space. And we saw what that looked like when Brooklyn, lost last year in the finals, right? And they got swept by the Celtics because really they could just focus all their attention on Kevin Durant. And so that's what happens like if a player like Steph goes out. So it wouldn't be good for them if he had like an extended absence, but we'll see. We'll wait for the results.
Tell me this, Ashley, is Golden State positioned to be competitive or even beyond competitive? Competitive sounds, those are low expectations. Can they be contenders for like 3 weeks or a month without Steph, if it came to that?
Yeah, here's the thing. I think right now they're kind of in, and when I say good, I don't mean good because Steph's injured, obviously. I mean, they're in an interesting position right now. It's still very early in the season. I think we're only a quarter of the way in. The season technically doesn't really start until Christmas Day. We haven't even hit those games yet. And the West is very much all over the place. Looking at the standings right now, the Pelicans, Memphis, Denver, and Portland are really the only 4 hot teams right now that have consistently been winning. You look at, Phoenix, they lost 5 in a row. The Clippers are still trying to figure out what they're doing. They're trying to get that chemistry going. You look at, Sacramento, they won a game. You look at Utah, they're, not really tanking like they're supposed to, but that's a different conversation.
Yeah, that's right.
But
they'll get there, though. They'll eventually get there.
You look at the Lakers, the Timberwolves, they're kind of all over the place. So I feel like it's not an egregious situation for the Warriors right now. Now, if we were talking February, March, this might be catastrophic. But right now, you're still very early in the season, or early enough in the season that if you're able to win, let's say Steph's out 3 weeks, if he's out maybe a month, if you're able to win even half of those games, when he comes back, I feel like you're in a good position to still go ahead and make the playoffs, given the fact that the West is just kind of a disaster right now. If this was the Eastern Conference, we would be having a very different conversation.
Well, if Natalie, Ashley said if they could win half
they can.
Without him, hey, listen, that standing, it should have said 14 and 15. So they're a game under 500 with him, and he's playing out of his mind. He's playing great basketball. He's had many games, like pretty much half of those games, he's averaging 30 points. His assists are up. His rebounds are up. I mean, he's
but also take into consideration that Klay took a while to find his stride, and that was a lot of weight on Steph Curry and not having the second half of the splash rubs. It took him a while to kind of figure himself out. Now that Klay's starting to roll a little bit more, I feel like you'll get a different version of the Warriors if Steph were not able to play. And even, let's go ahead and even lower the standard. If you can just win a quarter of the games without Steph, depending on how long he's out, I still don't think that puts the Warriors in this just like massive hole that when Curry does come back, that he can't go ahead and help this team,
this is where we disagree.
Be dug out of, because the West is just not that good right now.
Ooh, I don't know.
So
what do you think, Natalie?
So I agree with Ashley that the West isn't that good and there's not enough separation. But I think the length of time you lose Steph is critical. The Warriors aren't capable of winning games without him. Like, we have so much data on that. They can't do it. Last year, we can just look back at last year when he went down and they couldn't win a game. They won like a couple. Like they just don't win without him, even if Klay is there. Like in 2016, but not like this version of the Warriors. You still have Klay not playing back-to-backs. And so he did take some time to heat up, but that was an issue. You had like Dre and Clay not being ready at the beginning of the season, so they couldn't play full minutes. So I kind of want to separate like the Warriors into like two versions, because I understand. Right. I understand that like what happened at the beginning of the season, so it's so glaring. It's that road trip they went on, those 5 games that they didn't win any of the games. And so that's really what put them in a deficit. But the Warriors, since they made lineup changes, James Wiseman to the G League, Draymond and Andrew Wiggins to supplement the second unit. Like when they finished that Boston game, they were 11-6 from that point on. So they were winning and their record was better, and they were a top 10 offense and defense since those changes. So they were on track, but a couple of things. One, Kerr continues to do the resting, which I know annoys you.
Oh my
goodness.
And
so like some of those losses, you have to remember there were a number of games where like the stars just didn't play at all. And then on top of that, then you had like Steph going down last night. So it was a 3-point game when he went out, Michael. So, you know, it's actually really critical for them. But I agree with Ashley in that the saving grace is that the West is not that great. So they can probably climb back in, but they'll be coming from a deficit.
Hey. Oh, for sure. And it's going to be an extremely it's going to be an annoying task for Steph coming back from an injury for however long that injury is, to go ahead and have to just be superhuman and help this team be dug out of a hole, because they will be in a hole. I just don't know, because of how close this Western Conference is and how much of a difference it is from the top 4 teams and everybody else. I just don't know if his absence is going to be as just terrible as we're kind of predicting. And that's only because the remainder of the West, I want to say 75% of this conference is in disarray right now. And that's the only thing working to the Warriors' advantage right now.
Well, this is when they were supposed to be getting back in it. And you're right.
We got some news.
What? It came in?
We got some news. So according to Woj, just came in, Gary Carter saying in my ear, according to Woj, Steph's going to be out several weeks. That could
be 2 weeks. That could be 3 weeks.
Well, it's not going to be 2. That's several. I would say this. So here it is. Steph is expected to miss a few weeks. Excuse me. He did say a few weeks with his left shoulder.
What it was.
No, a few's not 2. Come on. It's not 2.
A few is 2. A few is 2. It could be 2.5.
Few is 3.
It could be 3.
It's 3. Few is 3.
But we don't know what the injury is yet, so let's see what they say the actual injury is.
Yeah, so out a few weeks. So he will miss, unfortunately, NBA fans, Christmas Day, Warriors. You were looking forward to it. You're not going to see him on Christmas Day. You're not going to see him.
That sucks.
They got the Sixers coming up here. They'll be in New York. They'll be in right? They're going to take on the Nets and the Knicks coming up.
No, sorry. The Nets didn't get a Christmas Day game. Don't try it.
No, I'm saying no. I'm not saying. I'm not talking about Christmas. I'm just talking about coming up on their trip. They have Philadelphia.
Just wanted to specify that only one New York team got a Christmas Day game, and it was the New York Knicks. Just want to make sure we have that clear.
My goodness. So he's going to be out for a while, but we'll see how that plays out. But y'all, can we talk about the elephant in the room? Can we talk about the elephant in the room when it comes to the Warriors? Because there's the Steph Curry injury, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's a story. I was talking to Natalie about this earlier, in that I'm usually not guilty of this kind of stuff because I like to keep stuff going, like drama. I like to keep it going. I don't want drama to end. Not in my professional life. My personal life, I want the drama to be over. But in my professional life, keep it going. Let's keep going. Let's keep that drama going. So when Draymond attacked Jordan Poole, I said, this is going to be a story all season long. I talked about it maybe for a couple of days, Ashley and Natalie, and then I just kind of moved on and talked about the Warriors, big picture, the macro, not the micro. And this incident that happened, that Draymond got the fan ejected, this was connected to the Jordan Poole fight, which a lot of people haven't talked about. A lot of people have mentioned. So the fan was on a podcast, and I just want you to hear. I want you to hear the fans' version, because Draymond said this guy threatened my life, threatened my family, and something like that. And I told the officials we got him kicked out of the game. They kicked him out.
I'm sorry. The fan did a podcast.
What are we
doing right now?
Welcome to 2022. So the fan here's the fan version of what happened with Draymond. Check it out.
Draymond's on TV. He's out here on tape talking about you, a fan, threatened his life during a game. My question to you, Mike, did you threaten Draymond Green's life?
Man, no, not at all. Like I said, all I said to him was, he was underneath the free throw line. I told my friend Brandon Fan, I said, man, I'm about to say something. So he underneath the free throw line. I got his attention. I said, Draymond. I said, we giving you a pass. He said, what pass? I said, man, we giving you a pass. He said, you ain't what pass? I said, man, like I said, we giving you a pass. You know what I mean? So evidently, he was ready for it. He was waiting for that to happen, and he blew it out of proportion, actually. So basically, I don't know how he can take that as a threat.
When you say giving him a pass, what were you referring to? Like, why does Draymond need a pass in the city of Milwaukee?
Man, basically, you know, I was speaking up for the city of Milwaukee. Basically telling, like, man, we're giving you a pass. We haven't forgot about what you did. You know what I'm saying? A big bully. We haven't forgot about what you did, and we're giving you a pass. We forgive you.
How about that, Ashley? So Mike Shane is his name. He's from Milwaukee. Jordan Poole's from Milwaukee. We know what happened. We saw the video. And listen, Mike's account checks out, because if you hear the audio of Draymond, it's exactly how he said it happened. And Draymond threw in some other stuff. What you mean a pass? What you mean? Give me a pass for what? I'd love to hear it. What's the pass? You know, and that was back and forth, and eventually the fan got kicked out of the game. So Mike Shane is sticking up for Jordan Poole, pride of Milwaukee. And Natalie and Ashley, it's coming up.
Is Mike Shane a relative of Jordan Poole? Are they homeboys? Does Jordan Poole know him? I'm confused.
It's like if somebody's from New York, I'm
gonna tell you right now, Michael. Okay, if you're not my homie, if we're not relatives, if we don't have any type of relationship, you a grown man. Fight your own battles. What do I look like? Your spokesperson? Do I look like your lawyer? Do I look like, your bodyguard? I think it's ridiculous that a fan went to this game and was like, rah, don't mess with Jordan Poole. He's from Milwaukee. Like, first of all, Jordan doesn't know you. It's the equivalent of like when people go on Twitter and like just hurl insults at like reporters and journalists and stuff for their takes on a player who does not know that they exist. It's like he doesn't know you. Now, if you would have told me that was his cousin, his boy from high school, I would have been like, okay, makes sense. Like, we giving you a pass. Don't run up on my boy. Like, kind of like the Jokic brothers that they did down in Miami when that situation came and they sat like a few seats behind the bench. They're like, yo. But like, listen, what's his name? Mike, take a seat.
Mike, take a seat.
You're doing too much, Mike. Jordan's not gonna. I hope he picks you. I hope Jordan picks you, Mike. That's all I gotta say. I hope he picks you.
Okay. All right. Listen. Okay. Very fair point. But Natalie, I want to ask you this, and Ashley, weigh in on this too. All right. If Mike doesn't know Jordan, and he just like, hey, I'm gonna stand up for Milwaukee, you bully. Why is Draymond Green a champion? One of the best players in the league, really, when you think about all the things that he brings to the game, why is he wasting his time? He's wasting his time. He's engaging him constantly. Hey, what pass? What pass? What are you talking about? Then goes to the official, tattles on him. Oh, I went
Not
there.
tattles.
Oh, he tattled on him. He tattled on him. Hey, this guy, Mike's down here at the baseline saying something about me. He was being mean to me, and then gets the dude thrown out of the game.
Michael, have you just started watching Draymond exist? This is
but he doesn't kick fans out, and he doesn't get triggered by comments. Like, the stuff happened in Boston, like usually, like, like in Memphis when they're like, whoop that trick, he was dancing along, right?
Yeah.
So the comments were obviously triggering to him. And for most of us, we thought it was because the fan threatened him. And I don't have a reason to believe that Draymond's just going to lie. So maybe he understood it to be that. I'm not here to dispute, like, if he was telling the truth or not, but the comments were triggering to him. And obviously this Mike guy is going to get on the pod and he's going to say a version that benefits him. So, right, it's just word against word.
But the audio backs up, but we had that audio of Draymond saying.
Right, I'm not saying, let me clarify. I'm not saying that Draymond kicks fans out all the time, but you see him on Twitter. He's good for a clap back. He's good for a pop off every now and then. Draymond is just somebody who, like, you're only going to test him to a certain point, and he's going to say something to you. Like, we've seen him do it on Twitter. We've seen him pop off on interviews when he does his podcast, and we see him fire shots. That's who he is. Now, he took it to a level he took it to a level we normally don't see from him when it comes to ejecting a fan from the arena. That I'll agree. So maybe something happened along the lines that just rubbed him the wrong way. Maybe he was just annoyed, you know, what was going on in the game, and he didn't need the other distraction. But I don't feel like it was something that was so against his character that you're like, oh my God, like what happened? The guy was probably annoying him. Like any grown man putting up for another man, talking about we're giving you a pass. You ain't giving me nothing, boy. I don't know you. Like, what are we talking about? Like,
Draymond is like the king, for lack of a better word. Like, he talks. You know what I'm saying? Like, Draymond, just right. So it's sort of contradictory, though. And I get it's a fan. And to me, like, I'm not trying to get into no fight with the player to get kicked out. But at the same time, if you acknowledge who Draymond is, this is the same person who told Paul Pierce you ain't Kobe. Yeah. Like, he's wild disrespectful. So for him to be so triggered by a fan
they don't love you like that. You thought you would get the Kobe treatment?
I mean, I don't think it's like out of character in terms of like he doesn't go back and forth with fans. I think the more notable thing is that it triggered him so much. And I think, to Michael's point, and I've always said this, and I know, like, as a part of, like, someone who's a Warriors fan, like, Warriors fans want to just sweep this under the rug. They want to be like, oh, this is no big deal. This happens all the time. And, like, there were disputing, like, there were players who came out and some said, no, this doesn't happen all the time. Like, there were some who said it did, but, like, I don't think it happens all the time. I don't think you punch one of your teammates who is also one of the key pieces on the team, and that it happens all the time. And so that people want to believe that there would be nothing lingering from this, I just think was not realistic. So I think it was triggering for him.
He's probably still somewhat embarrassed. He's probably still somewhat ashamed of his actions, ashamed that it went public, ashamed that, you know, all these people, his peers, had different opinions and he was a talking point and not necessarily the best light. It's probably that. And it's probably also he's trying to move on. The team's trying to move on. They're trying to win games. And then you have somebody who doesn't have a direct line of connection to the situation outside of just being from the city of Milwaukee, telling, oh, we're giving you a pass. It's like, you're not giving me anything. Like, I'm a grown man. You're not giving me anything. So it's probably that level of annoyance mixed with a level of he's still probably embarrassed. He's still probably ashamed of his actions, which rightfully he should be. It's probably not something he wants to constantly be reminded of, constantly have thrown in his face. It was not a good moment for someone who has accomplished everything that Draymond has accomplished. I get it.
But fans are going to say things. And, like, to me, I don't even care about any of that. Like, the bigger issue to me is what effect does it have ultimately on the Warriors?
Is it having an effect right now?
Yeah. Like,
do you think this is part of the 14 and 15 odd start for the Warriors?
I do, because, like, if you think about it.
Really?
I do. I don't think it's like the main thing, but I think it's
10%, 15%.
I think it's unrealistic to think something like that can happen and that it won't affect anything, right? So, like, Jordan Poole isn't playing his best right now, but we saw what Jordan Poole can do. He got a big contract. And, you know, I was having a conversation with someone, and, like, I think Jordan Poole wanted to come out so hard and show, like, that the situation didn't affect him, right? And he has to, because, like, he's going to get punked. You know, we know all the stuff they say on the court. So you know there's, like, when players are talking to each other, people are bringing up the Draymond incident. Like, I see it in every post on Instagram, on Twitter. Like, this is going to be something that's going to be, so we can say, like, media may not be talking about it. It may not be a story that we're covering, but it's going to always be thrown in his face. So, like, if he's overthinking, trying to, like, do too much, right, then it's still a lingering thing from that. And then, Dre, you've on some level probably lost some of your status within the locker room. So to the extent that you'd be able to talk to Jordan and help him, I know everyone's kind of watching on the court to watch their interaction, but it's deeper than that. So I think it's naive for anyone to believe that there are no lingering impacts. There are other things going on with the Warriors, Michael, but I think it affects them.
Do you think that eventually this happened in training camp? Like eventually it has to lose its effect. It's the like if somebody keeps saying something to you, if you and Michael get into a fight, right, and it goes viral and everyone sees it,
happens all the time.
a month after it happens, and you know players are crossing you, trash talking you, it stings. And then maybe the month after that, maybe it kind of still stings. But how much longer are you going to let it affect you to where it's starting to affect your game?
I'm telling you, if you punch me in my face. Like that's not there's different levels of disrespect.
I'm not talking about Draymond and Jordan. I'm saying if your opponent keeps throwing that in your face, oh, Draymond punched you in the face, eventually it starts to lose its effect. It's like, yeah, bro, that happened like 3 months ago.
Yeah, but you know what? You know what, Ashley? I think this is like some art of war stuff, like figuring out how your opponent thinks. And I think, but at the very basic way to approach this is Draymond has just told us all what his secret thoughts are, what bothers him the most. What bothers him is this, like how he's perceived, or anybody bringing this up. It bothers him. Maybe it doesn't bother him that his teammates bring it up or the management brings it up with the Warriors, but when anybody outside of that circle brings it up, it bothers him because that you're triggered by something that is things that, think about what triggers us.
Embarrassing.
Because I ain't about to tell you what triggers me. I'm triggered by things, and we all are, but I ain't gonna tell you. I'm not gonna let you know. So you might get me, you might sting me. I'll never let you know it though. And so you're triggered by something, by a conversation that's already going on in your head. It's already an inner dialogue that you've gone back and forth over. Now when somebody activates it, and that's what happened.
What's the saying? What's the saying? Only a hit dog hollers.
Hit dogs holler. Oh, I hear our music. I hear our music playing. So we're gonna continue this. We gotta pay some bills. Like when we're here, we gotta remember, man. You know, this beautiful building just doesn't run itself. We gotta pay some bills here. So this building in Connecticut, Ashley, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
Connecticut
I'm sure.
building.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, you gotta come out. We're gonna bring you out here. So this is one of those shows, Ashley and Natalie, man, we could sit here for a while. We could sit, but I got a party to go to tonight. So we can't sit here that long. But Natalie made a great point during the break talking about some of the gender dynamics that may come into this Jordan Poole, Draymond fight. You can say it better than I can.
Y'all trying to get me in trouble with Dub Nation. Yeah, I just think that with Jordan, I think there's sort of an expectation, societal, whatever, like he's a man. And so it's just like, oh, this wasn't any big deal. This is like what men do, whatever. And like he should just move on and get over it, right? And I just don't think that's realistic, right? And he may be telling himself, I don't know Jordan, I'm not speaking for him, but he could be telling himself he should just get over it rather than actually processing what happened and dealt with it. And when something happens to you, right, then, and you don't process it and deal with it, then it lingers and it festers in the background. So we can say he should get over it, but like, is he being given the latitude to actually process it, deal with it, and get over it? So in one way, what's happening with Steph could be good for Jordan. It was last year with Steph going down that Jordan emerged, right? And this may help him get his swag back because they're going to need it with Steph being out. And he's the only one, not even Klay Thompson, that can do some of the things on the team that Steph can do.
Last word on this, Ashley, then we'll talk about a team that hasn't won a championship since 1973. Oh, anyway, all right. No, go ahead.
No, I mean, listen, I agree that, you know, he needs time to process whatever it is that he needs to process. We don't know if he has or hasn't done that already. So again, I'm not going to speak for him. I'm just saying from a standpoint of assuming, you know, that when people, my whole thing earlier was simply saying eventually things start to lose their effect. And I don't know if, you know, people are trash talking him and saying, oh, he got punched in the face by Draymond. I don't know if December that's still affecting him. I don't know if the situation with Draymond is affecting him at all. It could just be the team is just not playing well for a multitude of reasons. I'm not going to assume. But I do think, like I said, I do think that Draymond is not proud of what he did. And maybe the feelings he has regarding that are lingering more than maybe Jordan's feelings on what Draymond did to him. I feel like that's more realistic than maybe thinking that Jordan's still, upset or, kind of like trying to nurse what happened. I think Draymond's more walking around with a heavy heart because of it, and he should be.
Interesting. In a minute and 15 seconds, tell me why the Knicks aren't better than their record. Because I look at them, Ashley. I like Brunson. I like what Brunson, what he brings to the table. He had 30 points last night. Randall, we know he's an all-star, up and down player at times. I think the Knicks should be better than they are. Why aren't they better?
The Knicks don't beat teams that are top 5. I mean, you look at the teams that they've beaten so far. You have the Hawks. The Hawks were missing a big chunk of their starters. You look at the Hornets, okay? Look at the Kings. They're, 8th in the Western Conference? You look at the Bulls, not so great. They're 11. The Knicks haven't really beaten anybody worth anything. And if you look at earlier in the season, they played a lot of those teams early on. So now they're kind of hitting their stride with teams that are struggling worse than they are. But I think that if they can continue this chemistry that they've built on the court, it's 5 games that they've won right now in a row. They're going to need that same camaraderie, same chemistry, that same direction when they start playing teams that are just as good or if not better than they are. So I think that's going to be the real test. Do I like 5 in a row? Absolutely. Does 5 in a row mean more to me when it's against teams that are above 500? Yeah, it does. When I start seeing that, I'll become a believer. I haven't seen it yet, though. So, but I'll take it. I'll take 5 in a row. Don't get me wrong.
There it is.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad at it.
Look at that. We talked about the Knicks. We talked about the Knicks. We talked about the Warriors. We talked about the Cowboys. We even got, you see that Dak attack right there? You see that? You see my Dak?
I know.
The Dak, let me get it. I got a Dak pillow for you.
Whose pillow is that?
Whose is it? It's mine.
Yeah.
It's mine.
No, it's not.
Who's holding it? Who's holding it? Good to see you, Ashley.
Bye, Ash.
Thank you, Natalie.
Bye.
See y'all tomorrow. Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.